Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here, and I'm still sick. I still feel like shit. I feel worse today than I did yesterday. This really sucks. But I think we have a pretty interesting topic to talk about today, and this was something really cool that I actually got to do. So, I actually don't think I've mentioned on this channel before, which I think is kind of interesting. So, a couple weeks ago, I posted this. I said, TGH, I am Germ. Super excited to announce that I've joined the Game Haus family. Their work has stood out to me over the past year, so I'm hyped to have a chance to contribute. Going to start doing some YouTube work for them, and who knows what the future has in store. So, I, am partnering up or joining up with, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know exactly what to call it, with the Game Haus. And if you guys know them, this is Robert Haynes, a guy that I've talked about on this channel before. He does like rumors and does all that stuff. He has the Game Haus, which is like a website for sports and gaming news and all that stuff. They do a lot of cool stuff. I've been really impressed with them over the past couple of years. That's why I've gotten, involved with Robert Haynes on hot takes and just talking with him on Twitter and all this stuff. But yeah, so I've actually been making some videos for them over on their YouTube channel, mostly in-game League of Legends stuff, some guides, some breakdowns, talking about news in the game, that type of stuff, hopefully helping to grow their YouTube channel and then, hopefully grow along with them. So I really do like the guys over there. It's been fun to work with them and stuff. But point of this video being is that the Game Haus, they have a couple things. One, they have a LCS media pass. I saw Robert and Michael Termini at the Houston LCS finals, and they were getting to work backstage. They had media passes. They were getting to interview pro players and stuff and do all that stuff, getting to go behind the scenes, which is super, super cool. But yeah, they are like they are LCS media, which means that they get to vote for the LCS awards each split as well. And what is super, super cool is that now that I'm a part of the Game Haus, I didn't get to directly vote, but Robert, he actually gets a vote for all his awards and stuff, and then he lets everyone at TGH vote for this stuff, and then they average out everyone's votes, and then they vote as an organization. They vote together. I think it ends up going under Robert's name, but super cool experience for me that I got to, in a way, indirectly vote for this year's All-Pro, MVP, all that stuff, which to me is just a super, super awesome experience. And obviously, I'm super thankful to Robert and all the guys at TGH for all they've done for me so far, and hopefully all that they're going to continue to do for me and I'm going to do for them and all that stuff. But this was super, super cool. So I was doing this last night while I was sick. We had to get this stuff submitted so that they can actually get their votes in. So I don't know exactly how good my teams are or, if I made the perfect picture or anything like that, but we can go over my All-Pro, MVP, most valuable, all those different types of selections. I can't show the stuff up on screen because, the spreadsheet it's got everybody else's info and it's got TGH's votes and all that stuff, but I'll at least read over what I put. So for top lane, the All-Pro teams, first, second, and third team, All-Pro in the top lane. I have first team, not a surprise, it's Someday. I'm not necessarily as high on Someday as everybody else is. I don't know that he's necessarily the MVP candidate that people are making him out to be, but I do think he was the best top laner throughout the split. So consistent, such an awesome team fighter throughout the whole year. And if you look at a lot of these other top laners, they all had big slumps, high highs, low lows, and all that. And it seems like Someday was pretty stable throughout most of this year. So I went Someday at number 1 in the top lane. I went Bwipo at number 2 in the top lane. Same type of thing with him. Bwipo definitely had some downs and some inconsistencies and some bad games and stuff, but overall, I think he was one of the stronger members of Team Liquid throughout this split, and he had some big pop-off performances, big games, and honestly, top lane in the LCS isn't very strong. You got to pick somebody for these places. So, and then at number 3, I went with Impact. And yeah, I don't really think the top 3 is that hotly contested because then the guys after that, it's like Dokla, Fud didn't really look that good this year, Licorice, Philip, Revenge. So those are my top 3, Someday, Bwipo, and then Impact. I think that'll be most people's top 3. Then we get into the jungle where things get a little bit different. Number 1, I had Inspired. I have him as the MVP as well. I think he was the best jungler. I think he was the best player in the LCS split. I think he's so much of EG's success throughout this year. At number 2, I have Closer. I'm not typically the biggest Closer fan, but I think a lot of the other junglers in the LCS weren't that great this split and weren't that consistent. And overall, I think Closer was pretty strong, so I do have him at number 2. And then at number 3, I went with Blabber, which might be a little bit unpopular. I know some people are going with Santorin at 3. Some people, I don't know. I think you really have to go with at least Santorin at 3, but some people want to say, oh, Contract has a good case, Spica has a good case, whatever. But I have Blabber. I think he had enough. There was just some huge lightning that scared me, but I think Blabber had enough big pop-off performances. Yes, he had some bad games. Yes, I've been critical of him down the stretch, but he had a lot of good games for Cloud9 as well. And I don't really think Santorin has been like super consistent or super crazy either. If you had Santorin over Blabber or Blabber over Santorin, I don't really think it matters that much either way. But I went with Blabber at number 3 just because I think he plays on. I don't know. He's had a few more carry and pop off performances than Santorin has, at least in my eyes. Mid lane, this is where things start to get a little bit crazy. At number 1, I have Bjergsen. I don't think many other people have Bjergsen at number 1. It seems like Abadage and JoJo are the most popular number 1 picks. But I really think Bjergsen was very, very good. People are kind of shitting on him this split, but if you look, he has insane lane stats. He has insane damage per minute stats, insane KDA. Yes, could he have been more aggressive in certain situations or whatever? Sure, but that's holding him to a standard that you are not holding other players to. Abadage had some very, very terrible games and weeks. JoJo, yes, he has insane laning stats, but he's had some missing games as well, and JoJo's team really, really carries him. I mean, EG's look so nasty, and if you look at TL, the team around Bjergsen hasn't looked super nasty and hasn't looked super consistent and good this whole year. I think Bjergsen is the best mid laner in the LCS right now, and I think he's an underrated MVP candidate. At number 2, I went with JoJo. And then at number 3, I have Abadage, and I have Palafox as like a kind of a distant 4. But that's what I'm looking at. And Abadage, crazy that he gets to 3 after having such a rough start to the split. Some people saying he's number 1. I do not agree with that at all. Then we have bot lane, where there's a couple different decisions to be made. I'm going with Danny at number 1. I think most people have Danny as the best AD carry. It's so crazy what he can do as far as scaling, late game team fighting. He gets a ton of resources. He does a ton of damage. He does a lot of things for EG. I have FBI at number 2, which some people have FBI at 2. Some people have Berserker at 2. Some people have Luger even in that like 2 to 3 conversation. Some people have Hansama up there. I don't know. There's a couple different ways you can go, but I went with Danny, FBI, and then Berserker. I think Berserker has maybe not been as consistent or maybe not as good as necessarily Danny and FBI have been, but I think Berserker is an absolute, stud going forward in the future, especially if Sven continues to develop a support. Berserker continues to learn English and get more comfortable here, or if they get him some crazy support in the future to really build around and build with. At support, I have Vulcan at number 1. I think pretty much everyone has Vulcan at number 1. I went with Huhi at number 2, which again is pretty consensus. Almost everyone has Huhi at 2. Then I actually went with Aframu at 3. I don't think CoreJJ has been that insane this year, and I don't really think there's another option other than Aframu or CoreJJ for that 3 spot. If you put CoreJJ at 3, I definitely wouldn't, think you're crazy or anything like that. But I think so often of the time, CoreJJ gets the benefit of the doubt and gets, bumped up a little bit when this split, I really don't think he's been all that insane. I think Aframu has actually been really, really good and has won a lot of games for FlyQuest. We also have Rookie of the Year. There was like coaching staff, but I don't think coaching staff stuff is all that interesting. If you care about coaching staff, I put CLG at 1, EG at 2, and 100 Thieves at 3. I don't know. There's not too much rhyme or reason to that. Rookie of the Year, I have Jojo Pune at 1, I have Takoyi at 2, and then I have Berserker at 3. I could definitely see you putting Berserker at 2, Takoyi at 3. I could definitely, I think those are pretty much the main 3, but I think it has to be Jojo winning it. And then for MVP, this is what I have. I have Inspired at number 1. I have Bjergsen at number 2. Like I said, I've already talked about how important I think he's been to his team. And then I have Palafox at 3. I think Palafox has been so important to CLG. Way more important. I think Palafox is important to CLG way more so than Someday is important to 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves is a stacked team. You can't say that Huhi, Closer, FBI, and Abadage are all insane players, but Someday's the reason why he's so valuable that they finished second. No, it sounds like they're on a really good team. Someday's a good player on a good team. That's not an MVP to me. An MVP is a player that stands out on a team that really, really needs them, and that's not Someday to me at all. That is Inspired, that is Bjergsen, and that is Palafox. Because would EG be winning titles without Inspired? Would Team Liquid look as good as they were with a different mid laner? Would CLG be a top 4 team without Palafox and his performance split? I don't think so. So that's where I'm at for the MVP race. And then as far as the most improved, I have Palafox at number 1. I have Contracts at number 2 and Jose Diodo at 3. I definitely think you could make a case for Dokla at like 2 or 3 or something like that. But I think Palafox has very clearly been the most improved player in the LCS this year. But there it is. Super, super cool experience for me. I would have never guessed that I would have even a kind of getting to vote for the All-Pro awards and MVP and all this stuff, but it has been a very, very cool experience. So again, shout out to the Game House, shout out to Robert. Thank you for all you guys are doing. I still feel like shit, so I need to go pass out, but I wanted to get this video out to you guys and let you know some of my picks. Like I said, I was making them while I was sick, laying in bed, dying, not really thinking too much, but I think overall they ended up pretty decent, pretty close to what I believe, but you can definitely roast them, so feel free to do that, and I'd love to hear your guys' picks as well. Drop a like if you did enjoy it, subscribe, stay up to date, and all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one, but until then, peace.